Hello everyone. I am Alice of KHR Arts and Cloud Orchid Publishing, and today I wanted to talk to y'all about one of the art books that Brian and I put together called Not in Kansas. This is a particularly special art book in that this is an entire photography event created by the photographer Color Law. And so this was Color Law's event. That means that Color Law organized this big photography event and hired select photographers and select models and select designers, and then had other photographers and other models pay to be at this event so that then together all of these beautiful photos would come out with this completely unified theme, and all the models had professional styling, hair, makeup, wardrobe, and had these amazing, impressive locations in order to really highlight that styling and that theme. I myself also put together photography events like this where I would have select stylists and models and photographers who I paid to be at the event so that then we could build the rest of the event around them on these awesome themes and give everyone the chance to walk away with photos that they could use for their portfolios or to submit to editorials, whatever have you. So this particular event, the theme was not just steampunk, but specifically Wizard of Oz steampunk style. So this is so cool in that Color Law actually went to the nth degree and styled all of these different characters from the Wizard of Oz in steampunk style. So a lot of these photography events are typically very general, but every once in a while there'll be someone who does something very specific like this. And this is a big part of why we just had to make it into a book, because these pictures are gorgeous, y'all. So to give y'all an example of what I mean by specific characters. So this is one of the models who was styled after a specific character, and this was the Cowardly Lion. It's a little bit harder to see here, but we have both the Cowardly Lion and the Tin Man. And in particular, the model who played the Tin Man was completely body painted with silver paint, and it was done in this very mechanical style. So it wasn't just he was just covered in silver paint like those, robot performers that you'll see in like parks and stuff like that. Like, no, they actually like painted gears and like mechanics like on his body. Like it was so cool. And there's just so many other beautiful pictures that came out of this event that aren't specific characters so much as they're just these gorgeous steampunk stylings, complete with hats, corsets, bustles, full dresses, skirts, jackets, just everything. And there was a mix of both female and male models. And the mix of models on this was just so impressive. They just had a variety of different kinds of models, different styles. And so they actually had a very large group of models who did this particular photo shoot. So there are just a ton of different characters and different styles in this particular art book. It's just highly impressive, just the body of work that was captured. And the number of photographers that are also featured in this book is just so impressive. This was an absolutely mega photography event. To give you some perspective, on average, my photography events that I put together had about 20 to 30 people, and this is total. So models, photographers, stylists, designers, 20 to 30 people. This was way more than 20 people, y'all. This was an army of photographers and models and stylists and designers. Just the amount of people it took in order to organize this and put it together. And then once all of the photography from this event was collected, Color Law then came to me and Brian and asked us to put it together in what we like to call a retrospective. So we also did this with our big Cloud Orchid caravan project for the Ohio State Reformatory, affectionately known as OSR, where you take everything that was done for a particular event and you put it together in this retrospective book so that you have the collection in its entirety. And it's honestly just a massive, impressive body of work. Just all of these photographers and models that came together and were styled so beautifully to just create an absolute wonderland like Oz through this steampunk styled lens. Of course, because of the way that me and Brian do things with these sort of books, and you can see this with back before Cloud Orchid Publishing we were Cloud Orchid Magazine, a fashion magazine specifically dealing with Chicago and larger Midwest alternative designers, that we didn't just feature pictures, we also made sure that we did full editorials. So this means that we also went out of our way to collect interviews with the different people that were a part of the Color Law event. So the models, the photographers, the designers, the stylists. We sent out as many interviews as possible with all the different people, and then I took all of that information and put them into comprehensive articles that you can read throughout the book to go with the photos. And the reason why Brian and I felt that that was so important to always include in all of the fashion-oriented books and magazines that we did together is because so many of the independent magazines that we got published in, as well as that we saw over the course of the years, that they oftentimes, if they even included any information at all, it was just question, answer, and they would literally put that, they would be like QA, QA. And it just wasn't exciting or interesting to read. It was just kind of like just bare bones. And on top of it, they didn't really ask very intriguing questions either. It was always the same questions over and over again. They were the most bland, stereotypical, easy, low-hanging fruit questions. And just, you just skim right past it because it's kind of like, who cares? And so we wanted to avoid that with our books and our magazines. Is we wanted it to be this comprehensive why behind the event, the fashion show, the collection. All of that is, why did this designer create this piece? Why did the stylist decide to take this approach with the makeup? Why did the photographer choose to do this style of lighting? We wanted to put all of that in there in an inventive and interesting way. We wanted readers to be interested in reading the articles along with looking at the pretty pictures. And while yes, of course, you can look at it just for the sake of the pretty pictures, you don't have to read the articles, even though I did work very hard on them. But the idea is that this group worked so hard on these beautiful pictures, so we should put in just as much work when it comes to representing that work and presenting the information behind the work in a comprehensive way that the reader will be just as excited to read about as they are to skim through these beautiful pictures. It's an impressive work. It is our largest art book that we have created to date, and honestly, it is the most popular book that people do pick up whenever I go to conventions and they approach the rack where I have all of the art books together. Not in Kansas is the one that people will pick up first and look through the longest every time. It's fascinating how that happens. And there's just something about it. It just gives that air of fancy coffee table book. And honestly, that was the approach that we were going for. The same thing with the OSR retrospective that we did too. We want this to be seen as that fancy, enticing book on your coffee table. And even today, it still holds up. It's still beautiful. The interviews are still intriguing. And a lot of these people actually are still doing all of the above. Still doing photography, still doing modeling, still doing styling, still creating beautiful pieces. And even the ones that have moved on, whether it's to different parts of that industry or have dropped out of the industry altogether, it freezes this moment in time so that we can enjoy it for years to come. So I hope y'all enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to give it a like. And if you're new, subscribe. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.